In an emotionally intelligent relationship, I would hope that love feels steady instead of chaotic. I would hope that in an emotionally intelligent relationship, I wouldn't have to feel like I'm constantly trying to prove my worth or managing somebody else's emotions or walking on eggshells. I would hope that there is safety and real safety, not just physical, but emotional and psychological. There would be both people who are self aware and who can take responsibility for their inner world and describe the feelings that are supposed to be spoken about instead of acted out. And it's human nature to have conflict. Not one person is the same or thinks the same. It shouldn't be something to win or to avoid, but something to push through together and to try to understand each other if there is conflict. And I keep saying that I'm allowed to feel human. I'm allowed to grow, and I'm allowed to change my mind. And so are you. We as humans will have bad days, and the other person that you're in a relationship with shouldn't lose their shit over you having a bad day or lose love because of it. Respect should be mutual. I honestly believe that respect should not be conditional. And if you are a good person and you do have that kindness within you and empathy within you, that doesn't disappear when things get uncomfortable. And that would never happen in the relationship that I was in because he was, or still is, an avoidant. So I was trying to make a list of things that I would look for in a relationship in the future if I am so lucky to have that opportunity. And describing my first date in this kind of relationship isn't about impressing the other person. It's about presence and being curious about that other person, getting to know that other person. And, you know, I'm very self conscious. Coming from this abusive relationship, I realized that I have this high anxiety about me, and I second guess myself a lot. I'm very unsure of myself. But I'm relearning, rewiring how I once was. I was never really confident or overly confident. And again, if I do have the opportunity to meet somebody, I would hope that he would be willing to listen without just thinking about what he is going to say, waiting for his turn to talk. Because again, the relationship I am coming from, the guy who just would never listen to me, he was always thinking about what he was going to say next. And honestly, he did tell me that once, maybe twice. It was just his nature to do that. Anyway, when I think about the perfect meeting where it's gonna be awkward, maybe not if he's comfortable with himself. But I would hope that our phones can stay out of sight. I hope that we can communicate naturally and effectively, and I ask thoughtful questions, and I'm sure I would hope that he would want to ask some thoughtful questions and follow up on my answers or my opinions. I would hope that there would be laughter and curiosity and a sense of ease with each other. I know in the first meeting or the second meeting or even the third, it still would be kind of rocky waters. I don't know. I don't know what to expect. I really don't. I would just hope that I would have the feeling of not wanting to run away. I would hope. I would hope that I don't feel interrogated or objectified. And I don't want to feel responsible for carrying the weight of the conversation or even the energy of the night. It's, up to a man to really lead, and I find that highly attractive. I really do. I feel like the conversation should be able to flow if both people are engaged, and there's no, pressure to perform or overshare or prove anything. I would hope that when our first date or a couple of dates ends, the other person would feel lighter and not depleted. They would feel a sense of being seen, because that's what I would want. I would want to feel seen and not like I was going in for an interview or being evaluated. And whether it turns into something more or not, at least I could leave knowing that I was respected and not just, you know, objectified. I think I already said that before, but in moving on to a respectful and loving relationship, I feel like communication should be clear and honest and grounded in empathy. When you have disagreements, they shouldn't turn into character attacks, silence treatments, or power struggles. When something hurts, it's named. It's like, you did this to me, and let's talk about it. Sometimes the other person doesn't realize something that they said hurt you. And when somebody makes a mistake, accountability comes, or should come, without defensiveness. And I'm learning that a lot about myself. Now that I'm older, I put my defenses completely down being with this person, and I just took on whatever came at me. But there has to be a happy medium. Both people should be willing to reflect and pause and repair whatever needed to be repaired. And I think both people should come in to a relationship with boundaries, and they should be talked about. Those boundaries should be honored, not punished. Don't you think love should be shown through consistency? When I write things down, I can't even see my own handwriting or read it. Just little notes here and there to help me talk. They're showing up and following through and caring about how both your worlds combine. You have to realize that your actions affect the other person. So you don't have to beg to be understood, and you don't have to fear about speaking the truth. People come into relationships having different expectations and truth, and if you guys aren't on the same page, it's never going to work. If I have a problem with, certain social media, or you still talking to an ex, or you still engaging in inappropriate, whatever, conversations with a coworker that you once had your eye on and we're starting to date, it's something I should be able to discuss with you, and vice versa. I feel like I am looking at a 40-year journey with myself if I don't find anybody else to share my time with, and that's okay. I have to be okay with that. But if I am able to find an emotionally intelligent man to build and grow through life with, that's just a bonus. I hope that this person, if I do find him, he doesn't see my growth as a threat, because I do plan on growing as a person and in my wealth, in my career. I never had the opportunity to do that in the abuse cycle that I was caught up in. I hope if I do find this man, he can celebrate my growth. And I hope he would want to choose to grow alongside me instead of not ahead of me or dragging behind me. I would hope he would want to be on the same level as I am. And I know that over the years, life obviously changes, especially if we come from having families of our own. Trying to combine those families, how is that going to be? That's a huge discussion, a huge step. Career shift, family losses, though they're going to happen. Bodies, age, looks. The way I look today, am I going to look this way in 10, 15 years? Probably not, unless I get a facelift. But the core of the relationship should deepen instead of erode. And if I am so lucky to find a guy that values me not just for what I give, but for who I am, I hope that he can protect the relationship by staying just curious about me for the rest of his life. He wants to know me, even decades in, and we can explore our wildest dreams and desires together. That is my hope. And I hope if I do find this person, he chooses me daily as I would choose him daily. Not out of obligation, but out of love, respect, and shared history, because history builds, and I know it starts from the ground on up. You don't know me, and I don't know you yet. And maybe you're not out there. Maybe it's just a dream. I just wish for that kind of partnership one day. And I would really like to have a teammate in life, because I never had one before. I would like to have somebody who stands next to me, and even in the worst times, the hardest seasons, and laughs with me, even in the good ones. I want to be with somebody who doesn't need to dominate me, or diminish my light, or withdraw to feel powerful. I would want the love to feel like a collaboration, and my life not be in such a survival mode that I've been for the last 2 decades. And so I'm looking forward. I'm thinking, if I do have 40 years ahead of me, I'm not going to look back. I never want to feel the exhausting feeling that I had. God, I was broken. I was really broken. I don't want to feel like I'm disposable ever again. I want to look at my future relationship at 80 years old, looking back and knowing that the last 40 years I was valued, I was heard, and I grew up with the love of my life, and loved in a way that made my life bigger and not smaller, like my first relationship and my first marriage was. And that is my hope.